Good evening again, and welcome to the Blue Carpet Gala. I'm Jeff Atkinson, Assistant Vice President of Strategic Partnerships here at Wingate University, and I'm joined by my colleague, Ryan Brown, who is Assistant Athletic Director for Communication. We are going to be your MCs for the evening.
We're so glad you're here with us tonight to honor 10 outstanding men and women who epitomize the very best of Wingate University. 5 sports Hall of Fame members and 5 Alumni Award honorees.
So here's how this is going to work tonight. We're going to invite each of the honorees to come up and join us here on stage, and we'll do a series of interviews. Incidentally, they are going to time us, and there's the timer. Wave your hand over there. Each honoree will get 6 minutes, okay? Sum up your life story in 6 minutes, but we can do it. We want to make sure that we're not still here at midnight tonight, so we'll have plenty of time for everybody to say what they need to say. In your program, incidentally, there are biographies that go into further detail about each honoree and inductee, and I hope you'll have a chance to look through those this evening. There's also criteria about each award winner in each category. All right, we ready to get started? Ryan, who's on deck?
I want to introduce you to the first inductee here in the Sports Hall of Fame in 2018, representing men's basketball from the class of 2008, Sean Barnette. Sean was the first South Atlantic Conference player to ever score 2,000 points. But what most people don't realize, he was an outstanding rebounder as well, finished second all-time in rebounds. Nobody else in SAC history is in the top 5 in both. You see. So Sean, you're from the Rock Hill area, South Carolina. How did you end up here at Wingate?
Well.
Move the mic a little bit closer.
Yeah, well, a few of the coaches that we had, Coach Licata, Coach Gray, and Rob Dooley, they all made the trip down to Rock Hill, caught a few of my games. They came and talked to me. Coming out, I had a few offers that fell through the cracks as I was coming into my senior year. So they came and it was just a good vibe from the start. And I liked everything that they said to me. I had a good feeling that, this could be a great place for me to be.
Sean, you told me a lot that, one of your passions was your father who passed away when you were a freshman in high school. What impact did that have on you as far as your drive to be a great basketball player?
It had the biggest impact on my life. Everything that he taught me from a young age, just the work ethic, pretty much what you put in is what you're going to get out. And every day he would have me in a gym, doing everything under the sun, from shooting free throws to doing post moves, which I didn't ever think I was going to use. And then I came here and, the coach had me at the 4. So his work that he instilled in me, it stuck with me till this day.
Who did you lean on? You're still pretty close to home at Wingate, but who did you lean on those first couple of years of college, on the team and at home?
On the team, it was the guy sitting right there in the middle, Bryan Grier. He was a real big part of me even deciding to come to Wingate. He was my host when I came on a visit, and just great guy, and we just had an immediate connection. Back home, it was my rock. My mother, she was everything for me. She was at every game, home or away. We was traveling to Tennessee to play teams there. She would make the trip. Her and I have my uncle here right now, James Robinson. He would make the trips with her whenever she had to go long distances. And a good friend of the family, Julian Tyndall. He was there with me as well.
Coaches can be a great experience for some players and not so much for you. It's a big part of your experience here at Wingate. You talked about the coaches there in the beginning. How would you describe your relationship as a player or coach, and of course, through your 4 years?
It We had a really good relationship. The coach, he understood that we as players, we knew what we had to do on the floor, and he just kind of let us play our game. And he gave us the confidence to go out there and just do what you do. And, till this day, I contribute a lot to that, and me growing as a player.
Sean, again, grew up from a small town in South Carolina, but you've experienced an amazing professional career. First of all, did you ever imagine you'd spend that long overseas playing professional basketball, and kind of, is that your, one of your best accomplishments you feel like at this point in your life?
Yeah, it definitely is. And I definitely didn't think I would be playing that long. I had the dream of, having a longevity, in my career with playing. And through the grace of God, I've been able to, make it through all the obstacles that come in my, way and, be able to play 10-plus years over. What
was the biggest surprise and experience you take away from Europe and playing overseas and having a career that you did?
The biggest surprise?
Because you're trying to follow your career and everything's in a different language. So you just look just find the translation for points and then you're good,
Right. Yeah, the whole concept of the game is the same, but it's just totally different when you go over there. And it was a big adjustment for me. And, being over there, it taught me a lot as a player and just about life. I got to learn a whole bunch of different cultures and just being a part to see how, how they interact and how they, are as, a country. It's played a big part in my life.
What does this Hall of Fame induction mean to Sean Barnette?
This means everything. It means the world. Pretty much everything that when you lace up the shoes and you step on the floor, and this is the moment that you was working for. And, the late hours in the gym, Friday night when, everybody's partying, you in the gym, you knew, all right, I'm missing out on a good time, but it was just something more that you was working for, and this means the world to me.
I want to ask you, because the rumor was, I told you Sean finished third all-time in rebounds ever in the league, but the rumor was all that meant was Bryan Grier was blocking a shot right to your hands. Is there any truth in that?
Yeah, he started the fast break for me.
Sean, congratulations on the Hall of Fame. We appreciate all you've done for Wingate. Here at Wingate, your pro career, you're an absolute legend. Best of luck to you.
Thank you.
Great job, man. Great job.
That's okay. Yeah.
Welcome Jeff Atkinson back to the stage.
Don't you have a second one?
Oh, I do.
Thank you.
See, originally we were going to alternate, but we're going to keep it in basketball. So Bryan, hold on. It's my pleasure to also welcome to the stage from men's basketball, also from the class of 2008, Mr. Bryan Grier. Bryan is the all-time leading shot blocker in Wingate history, SAC history, and NCAA history. Most ever blocks in one season, Bryan Grier. Second most ever blocks in one season, Bryan Grier. Third most ever blocks in one season, Bryan Grier. Fourth most, not Bryan Grier. So what happened that fourth year? Have a seat, man. Bryan, also, somewhat local for you, growing up in the area. What was life like for you growing up in sports? Because from what I understand, it didn't start with basketball from an early age.
My introduction to basketball would credit it to 10th grade, 11th grade. I started with the Lake Norman Jaguars. We lost every game. I was terrible at the time, but they gave me an opportunity to play. And from that, I went to the Charlotte Aces AAU team for a summer where I played with my brother Sam Hennett, also state champion for 2003, Vance High School. We linked up there, and from there, an assistant coach from Vance was an assistant coach for the AAU team. And from that, the next year at Vance, I grew from 6 foot to about 6'4"-ish. And I tried out, made the team. And from that, I didn't play much my junior year, and then translated the next year to us winning a state championship, all conference, all county, coming off the bench. And it just happened so suddenly, and I had one scholarship offer, and that was from him, Parker Laketta. And that brought me in.
You talked about Coach Laketta. Everybody has important mentors, whether it be coaches or teachers or professors from middle school all the way up to college. Who were some of those for you?
Coach Wesley, who's here tonight. Thank you, Coach, for giving me the opportunity. My father, of course, one of my neighbors, godfather, and a coach when I was also terrible, Chris Caldwell. He's here too. Thank you. My pops, I think he was the ultimate guy. He taught me everything I need to know. But what I learned through sports and through these other men was other aspects of things that your father can't teach you because he didn't have those experiences. And I learned that from these other guys as well.
Outside of class, I mean, a college athlete, it's meals, weights, practice, traveling, games. I mean, it feels like it can turn into a brotherhood. How would you describe your relationship with your teammates?
It was amazing. What was the most, critical thing about, where I'm at mentally in life was that for those years I was at Wingate, I was also a captain for 3 years. And I never understood that, because I wasn't a vocal guy. I just work hard because that's just what I do. But for them to vote me each year as a captain like that, like I'm a sophomore as a captain and have upperclassmen vote me that way, they saw stuff in me that I never saw in myself at that time. And to this day, I appreciate those guys, love those guys, and those are my brothers, all of them. And whoever's here or not here, what they did for me, I don't think they'll ever understand what it means in my development as from a boy into a grown man.
So, Bryan, when you think of a shot blocker in basketball, 6'10", 6'11", all the famous ones, you went in the gym every night, people couldn't believe it. This guy's leading the nation in blocks every year. They didn't believe it. They still drove right at you, and you had 8 or 9 blocks 10 or 11, 12 times your career. I mean, is that fun? Isn't nice? So the first couple plays, they're like, all right, this is going to be a good night for me.
Well, honestly, I contribute that to my teammates because you got to get blown by for me to have the opportunity to block it. So thank y'all for, just opening the door, and just letting me have all these blocks, which was cool. But in all honesty, people, they can see a person, and you just be like, nah. And they did that 455 times. Yeah. So cool, that was it.
For reference, 455 is Bryan's record. Second place in the South Atlantic Conference is 230. Bryan did that in 2 years. So you want to talk about a record that's absolutely untouchable, is definitely that one. Bryan, I want to turn a little bit and ask you about your family. And again, just a vital part. You got a family at Wingate with so much great support from around the campus and your teammates. But your family at home, talk about their impact in your words.
Everything. First, to my mom.
Move the mic a little closer.
Sorry. To my mom, back in December, my father passed away on December 20th. On December 22nd, my mother went to cardiac arrest. Most craziest 2-3 days of my life. 2 weeks later, she walked out the hospital. We celebrated my father's life, and the next day celebrated her birthday. She's the most important person.
Take your time.
And my father's my hero. And it means everything to me to have this opportunity and for Wingate to see what he instilled in me, not just as a basketball player, but as a person. And I miss him. I wish he was here to vibe with all this. But the fact that I'm here, my family's here, my coach is here, my best friends all in here means the world. And just means a lot.
Brian, everybody watching that gym every night said, oh, that guy, no shot. And you're an incredible motivation for people to look. 6'5" didn't mean anything to you. You're the greatest shot blocker, one of the greatest basketball players ever at Wingate, and we thank you for everything you've done.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, BG. Great work, man. So we'll now officially turn it back over to Jeff and switch back to the alumni side.
All right,
Thank
thanks
you.
very much, Ryan. Join me now in welcoming to the platform. She's at table number 1, the winner of this year's Alumni Excellence in Service Award, Amee Huneycutt Odom. Amee's the director of the Ethel K. Smith Library here at Wingate, where a position she's held for 17 years. That's older than some of our freshmen here.
Thanks.
No, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to date you. Have a seat. Amee says that her passion is seeing her students become lifelong learners. And ladies and gentlemen, congratulate Amee Odom, class of 1995.
Yes. Thank you.
What made you decide to come to Wingate?
Oh, easy question. Thanks for an easy one.
I start with a softball.
My dad was a 1967 graduate of Wingate, and every year we got to come to the bookstore to pick out new Wingate swag. So it was really the only choice. I had the opportunity to visit other schools, but Wingate was home from day one.
Where was home?
Alumni, North Carolina.
All right, so you just had to come down the road.
So not too far.
Not too far. Did you know you always wanted to be a librarian?
I did not. For a little tiny hot second, I thought I was going to be Beverly Christopher. Or at least try.
Beverly, wave
But then the comma splices thwarted that. Through Wingate in London, I learned that I wanted to be a librarian. We were available to an opportunity to use a variety of different libraries, and I couldn't find anything. That seemed so ridiculous. So when I got back, I said, well, I'm going to get a job in the library. I'm going to figure this out. This can't be that difficult. A little bit, but that was the decision-making point. And so that job in the library started everything.
The Dewey Decimal System must have fascinated you.
I'm going to call you out because it's Library of Congress.
Listen, you're impressed, I know that, aren't you?
It tells me what kind of library you use.
Okay. I don't think there's anybody here that knows Wingate history better than this woman right here. What? Yes. Well, there probably are some in the audience.
Look
but
at that table.
Anytime I need a source, I know who to go to. Well, it's the librarian,
That's
of course.
right.
Was there an event that sparked this, or are you just naturally curious about our history?
Yes to all. So I'm naturally curious. Probably one of the latent reasons I became a librarian is because my parents, I was a question child. And so look it up, look it up, look it up. Well, this is where you end up when you look it up all the time. But my dad got to sit at Beverly Christopher's table probably once a week. When he was a student, and I ended up there quite a bit, and she's a wealth of knowledge. So I just learned at the foot of the greats, really, and you just need to write all that down and keep that available because people then ask you all those questions, and I never don't answer a question. It's a double negative, and it's on tape. Great.
Right.
So you just can't not answer a question. That's not acceptable. So it came out of a lot of those things.
What are you most proud of? 17 years is a long time.
Right, and that's as director.
That's just
That's
director.
just as
And
director.
so if you look at your Wingate career, it was 1995, and what year are we?
Right,
Well,
let's not do the math.
Okay.
English major.
All right.
See, Rhett Brown's thinking the same thing.
I didn't want to answer it either.
It's okay.
Communication major.
We have, in those 17 years, we have made 10 librarians, and that's a degree that we don't even offer. So through their Wingate library experience, through their Ethel K times, they decided that they too wanted to become librarians. That's huge. So we've given back. I'd probably I have 2 or 3 in there I'd add, but I'll go with that because, and there's one of them out here in the audience tonight. So
You want to call him or her out?
she would not appreciate
Okay,
that.
good.
So.
All right. That does warm the cockles of your heart, though.
It does.
Another
It does.
good word that you're impressed
It's
that I know.
well done.
What was your first thought when you heard that you were going to receive the Alumni Excellence in Service Award? What went through your mind?
I wanted to email Gavin back and say, are you sure your data is right? I was very humbled. It's a great honor, and if you look at that list in the program, it's a lot of wonderful people to be added to. So I was very appreciative of that.
What does, okay, I'll say it, retirement look like for you? Or are you one of those that's just, I'm gonna keep on working and keep on working?
I love Wingate, but I also love Pat Plant, and so I understand what it means to leave at the right time and enjoy what you have left. And there's a person at that table too that has a long list of things that we would like to accomplish after Wingate. So.
Tell us what they might be. Curious minds.
Oh my gosh. Well, if you can imagine 3 dogs and 3 cats who don't always get along together in an RV, going across the country, come on.
Who do you want to thank tonight? You've already thanked a few. Or is there anybody that you want to
Well, of course, we
give
have
a
to start with
shout-out?
Mom and Daddy because we probably wouldn't be at Wingate. And yes, I've said it every different way possible, right? On purpose, probably, because they started the whole love affair with the institution. But Larry Coleman, you will not make me cry, Jeff Atkinson. I will not. But Barbara is here. And, of course, Beverly Christopher, because they created what I understand as the Wingate experience. And that's what they created for me is what we try to recreate for every student every day, no matter the scale. So if we can do just a tiny bit of what they did for me, we've had a good day.
It's time for a hug.
Thank
Thank you so much. We're so proud of you. Amee Odom, this year's Alumni Excellence in Service Award. Is there a plaque? There's a plaque for you, and we'll get your picture later.
Okay.
All right? Ryan, thanks.
Thank you. And
Thank
I have
you.
to use the stairs since I'm not as tall as these.
Let's introduce our next Sports Hall of Fame inductee representing the class of 1999 from Bulldog Baseball, Jason Foster. Jason hails from the Rowan County area, which is obviously known for its great baseball, great Legion baseball, and preparing players for the college level. And as we'll find out, Jason was very ready when he came to Wingate as a freshman. Have a seat. Jason, you played ball at around a certain South Atlantic Conference Division II baseball program over in that Salisbury area. But how did you and Coach Nash connect, and how did he get you here to Wingate?
Well, honestly, I was just like Bryan spoke earlier. I didn't have a whole lot of offers coming out. Seemed like as soon as I signed, my coach in high school, he was a Wingate alum, and he kind of pushed me this way. I came down for a visit. I was like, man, this place is awesome. It's nice. I mean, and that was 20.
What do you think about it
25
now?
years ago now. It's like, yeah, almighty. So, especially when you don't come back for 10 years, you know? And I was like, wow. So, but yeah, you just come in, you start talking to these people, and everybody's just like, friendly. And I'd never really wanted to go to a large school. I just thought more of a family type atmosphere, and that's what Wingate has. And, you know, I talked to Nash. They had a great baseball program. Growing up, like you mentioned, the only thing I knew was winning programs. So I was like, I don't want to go to a losing program. Who? You know? I mean, that's the reason we're up here is because we wanted to excel. And I said, well, this is where I'm going to go. I'd rather fight to be on a good team than make it on a not so good team.
I mentioned that how prepared you were. You're named Conference Freshman of the Year, you know, your first year at Wingate. What did that confidence do for you to propel you in your career, which later turned into All-American?
It did. I always knew. It seemed like anything that I was put up to, somehow or another, I would figure it out. I'll never forget, I was sitting here freshman year in the fall. We didn't have a baseball field. It was dirt. We was practicing down at Forest Hills, and we was coming back from practice one day, and, you know, back then, everybody was Darren Hayes, Darren Hayes, Darren Hayes, stud, stud, stud. And I was like, think I could be as good as him? The guy's like, whew, them some big shoes, dude. And I was like, well, that's what I want to be. I don't know if I quite got that point, but, you know, I just wanted, there's no reason to settle for less than what you're capable of doing.
So for this past year, Wingate baseball went to the regionals. It was down outside of Greenville, South Carolina, a couple hours. You guys went to regionals in Texas.
Right.
What was that like?
Hot. Yeah. Yeah. And once again, times has changed. I remember, you know, I grew up. I'm a country boy. I sit there and went through boarding at Charlotte Douglas. Of course, I had a pocket knife in. It's 4-inch blade. And they're like, that's a nice knife. Hand it back. We walked on through the gate. Don't think it'll happen today. But, yeah, we got down there. It's 103, 105, correct, Coach? Something like that. Hot. But, yeah, it was different. Never played ball. That's the first and only time I've played in Texas. But.
You always had a big family presence at your games being close by. What did having them up in the stands kind of mean to you for your career?
It meant a lot, you know. I mean, almost every game. I mean, it didn't matter. Like someone spoke earlier, said it's one. I mean, you're going to have your fans. You're going to have family of some players, but it was like every game that you had family there. And once again, if my family wasn't there, other guys on. It was such and I'm sure it's the same with you guys. I mean, you got to be such a tight-knit family. And there was 3, 4, 5 guys in the families. They were there every game. I mean, it was like you had 4 or 5 moms, 4 or 5 dads, 17 grandpas, you know, bunch of uncles and aunts. But and that's part, I think, of the whole, let's call it smaller, you know, type university like this. And that was kind of what I was going for when I decided to come here. You get that family atmosphere, and because a lot of people are closer, and they can travel with you, and that is just nice because you could not go home for 6, 7 months, but you felt like you was at home at any time.
How would you describe Bill Nash as a coach, and what was your relationship like?
Truthfully? No, in all seriousness, Coach Nash, he was a great guy. He's a great coach. He's a great coach. He knew how to push the guys, just like any other coach. You're not going to agree with everything, but he had everybody's and the school's best intentions on pretty much everything he did. If I heard we're going to be vanilla, once I heard it 1,000,000 times. Especially when he got the title of Dean Nash, we heard vanilla a lot. But there you go again. You just kind of, guys, you know, try not to get in too much trouble. And it kept us more focused on everything because, like I talked before, you're traveling a lot, you're playing a lot, you're practicing a lot. And then you're in class a lot. So I think I had my last semester in season, I had 20 or 21 hours. I mean, you had to stay focused to get through the whole school and ball.
Jason, finally and quickly, I want to mention Danny Lampley, Hall of Famer, pitcher on some of your teams, leader all-time in strikeouts. You were an All-American hitter. What were those practices and head-to-head with you guys?
Luckily, we really didn't have much. I think by that time, Coach, hadn't we pretty much shut down the inter-squad stuff? There was some fights and squabbles. So, yeah, I mean, and that was the thing. Everybody was so aggressive and so it was just a struggle to be the best and excel. It just got to the point where you couldn't really do it. But yeah, we were like brothers. We're still like brothers. We just don't talk as much. You know, his grandfather, he passed away a couple months ago. Went down there, wouldn't have missed it for the world. I mean, because that was, once again, that was one of my grandpas. So, yeah, Danny was great, and that was another one that just pushed you to excel because there you go again, just like you guys. What's the worst thing you could do? Let your teammates down. So, I mean, the worst memory I have as a college athlete was my last at bat. I got a hanging, I can't remember if it was a hanging slider, but it was right where I wanted it. I think the bases were loaded. Line drive between short and third. Scored 1 or 2 runs, but it didn't go to the fence where it was supposed to go. Next guy, I think he hit a ground ball. Guy dove, threw him. Last out of the game. Last out of the season. Last out of the career. But I didn't do my job because it didn't go.
Well, you did a lot more than that. SAC champion, All-American, All-Conference, Freshman of the Year, an incredible career. Jason, congratulations. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. Yeah, it's good. All right, we'll turn it back over to Jeff.
All right, let's bring in our next Alumni Award honoree. Join me in welcoming to the stage Rosanny del Carmen Crumpton. Rosie is the winner of this year's Champion of Diversity Award. She graduated from Wingate in 2005. There you are on the big monitor. And met her husband, Brandon, here, who graduated in 2003. They have been married 10 years, so congratulations. Rosie is a writer, speaker, and integrative health coach, in addition to working as the Quality Assurance and Quality Improvement Director and Diversity Specialist with Developmental Disability Resources in Charlotte. That's a mouthful. Did I get it right?
You did.
So what is it you do in that role?
Oh my goodness. A lot. With QAQI, I oversee policies and procedures, accreditation, and all sorts of anything that comes up during the day. But as diversity specialist, which is my passion, I develop the cultural competency plan. I oversee the cultural competency plan, and all sorts of things.
Developmental Disabilities Resources. This is DDR. This is in Charlotte, and they have several other offices around the region. What is it that group does?
So we provide services to children and adults with developmental and intellectual disabilities.
In addition to all that, you have written your first novel. Congratulations. And I'll go ahead and give a shout out to the novel. Are you on Amazon?
I am.
All right, there we go. There we go. All I Left Unsaid, A Latina's Journey Toward the Truth. Did I get the title right? What
Correct.
prompted you to do that?
I had a life-changing experience. I connected with my biological father, who I hadn't touched base with in 20 years. I Googled him, found him, and 6 months later, I flew down and I met him and learned of 2 brothers and a sister that I didn't know I had.
And he was in
Panama.
Panama. And tell me about that experience.
Life-changing, insane, crazy. My heart is full.
How was it? So you Google him. I mean, I'm sure we can find out about anybody anywhere in the world now, but it was that easy?
Well, he has a name that's different, and I've always thought about him. Obviously, I didn't see him since I was 7 years old, and it wasn't until I was almost 27 when I reconnected with him. But I always thought about him every day. I had his last name, and no one else in my family had his name. And one day I had the courage to look him up, and I actually connected with my brother, who then connected me with my father.
And this was in what year?
2010 is when I flew out to see them.
And have you all stayed in touch?
We have. I'm actually going to see them next month.
Well, I'm sure you can tell them about this award. So what prompted the book? It was that experience, and you had all these emotions you wanted to share?
Well, yeah, that, but I've always been a writer. I used to write, and I still write, poetry, and hence the title with the All I Left Unsaid. But all of my writing, I kept to myself. It was just private. And it just came to a point where I felt, actually my husband said, you have a story to tell. And so I just thought, let me start putting it out there and see what I could create.
And the words just flowed, I'm guessing.
And it flowed, yeah.
I read through your bio and I look at all the things that she's doing and I say, how in the world do you do all those? So A, how do you find the time? And B, did Wingate influence your community service involvement?
I am tired. No, I'm calling this my harvest year, and both my husband and I are calling it our harvest year, but so much of what is manifesting for us this year has been years in the works. The book took 7 years. So much of the other stuff that we do is years in the making. But with Wingate, when I was a student here, I dropped my mom off I was a commuter all 4 years, and I would wake up early in the morning with probably like 4 hours of sleep max, dropped her off at work, came to school, did my schoolwork, went down uptown Charlotte, picked her up, then went to work, and then slept maybe 3-4 hours a night, and then did it all over again. And so what I'm learning is that I didn't really take advantage of all of the opportunities that were right in front of me when I was a student, and that's what what I've learned.
Where'd you live? You said you commuted, so were you in the Union County or Charlotte area? Or?
Matthews.
Matthews, okay. Mm-hmm. It's obvious why you were chosen to receive this Champion of Diversity Award. What does it mean to you?
I'm honored. I'm extremely honored. I didn't, when I was a student, like I said, I didn't feel like I took a great advantage of the time that I was here, but since then I've reconnected with the school, and it's something that I don't take for granted.
What do you want your legacy to be?
Ooh.
Is that good? That's a good one, right, Amee? I didn't ask you that one, did I?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know.
All right, so you have a magic wand. How would you change the world?
Just love. Just love and sharing stories, being more mindful and connected, and being your true self.
10 to 20 years from now, what do you see yourself doing?
Still married.
Where's your husband?
He's here.
All right. Met at Wingate, right? Is there a story there? I'm sure there is.
There is. We met at Wingate, but he doesn't remember meeting me at Wingate.
What? Okay.
I'm over it.
I can't help you here. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
So
we met when we needed to meet again.
You met at the right time.
That's right.
All right. Anybody that you want to say, give a shout out to, or to thank tonight?
I want to thank all of the people that are at my table today. Almost every single one is Wingate grad. And the time that I'm grateful to Wingate because I met some of the most important people in my life.
Rosie Crumpton, it was a pleasure to visit with you,
Thank
and
you.
Congratulations once again.
It brings me great pleasure to introduce to you to our next inductee into the Wingate Sports Hall of Fame. Also representing the class of 2008 from volleyball, Melissa DeLuca Schuett. Melissa coveted the double as an athlete, as a student athlete, All-American as a volleyball player, All-American as an academic in the classroom. So I broadcasted some of Melissa's games, and she comes from a town in North Carolina that has to be the most mispronounced city in the state. It's spelled Bahama, but it's Bahama. And Luke waited, I don't know how many years to tell me I was missaying it for so long. But what was your earliest memory of volleyball growing up, and kind of who had your biggest impact?
So when my dad was, I guess I was about maybe 5 or 6, he started playing with some guys who he was friends with, and I think I must have just kind of watched him, play, and sooner or later I was old enough to start passing in the front yard, so we'd always have, challenges of how many passes and could we keep the ball going, and so I remember that, and I remember just watching my dad play. So he definitely has been and continues to be, the greatest influence on me and has been the greatest encourager, I guess, of getting started with volleyball. So yeah.
How did you end up at Wingate? And again, currently, we know Wingate volleyball is, 11 straight conference championships, but you came in a couple years before that. How did you end up here?
So I always wanted to play college volleyball, but I didn't really know if I'd be able to. And Coach Collier watched me in a tournament when I played club volleyball, and I really wasn't like that good then. I really wasn't. And I don't know how it happened that we got in touch, and thankfully the visit went well. I loved it at Wingate, and so I just decided to take a chance and come, and I'm really glad that I did.
Coach Collier was an All-American volleyball setter at Ohio State on the men's team. What was your relationship like with him? Did you think in the back of your mind, okay, he played setter, this is the position I'm in? What was that relationship like?
Definitely. All the time. I think we had a special relationship because of that, and he, my freshman year when I came in, when I said I wasn't that good, I really wasn't, and he took a lot of time to really work with me, and I put in a lot of hours to get better and better, and but he's a wealth of knowledge, and I was so grateful to have him as a coach, but also, as a specialist to just teach me a lot of things that, I just hadn't learned yet, and he had a lot of confidence in me, which, encouraged me along the way too.
We talked to, the other athletes, Brian and Sean and Jason, about the teammates. Your sport's played in close quarters. I mean, you're all right in there on top of each other. So much interaction every match, talking nonstop. What was your relationship with your teammates? How would you sum up what you took away from them?
They were the best. I think, they make everything worth it. All of the long practices, all the times that you're mad at yourself because you played horrible, and they're there to pick you up and tell you to keep going. But yeah, I mean, everything that I did on the court was, I wanted to be the best for them and for my coach, of course. And I really, truly feel like I couldn't have had any better teammates alongside of me. I feel very, very lucky in that regard.
How did a small school like Wingate impact you? We watch volleyball games, and the match ends, and every one of the players go to the crowd. Mm-hmm. Whether or not you're seeing, professors like Dr. Bell that everybody goes and talks to. I mean, the ability to learn people's names, be in part of the community was so important to you. What impact did that have on you?
It was huge. My first year here, the first couple of months were really hard. I think just coming from a small town, Bahama, and coming from a small town and just had really, really strong relationship with my family. I still do. It was hard. I was homesick, and I'd call my dad after every practice. He probably got annoyed with me doing that. I don't know, but I would see people like Mr. Mangum and Wayne Shadrick and just Linda, John's wife, just people who just took invested interest in me and truly made Wingate become home. And Wingate will always be a second home to me, and I'm so grateful for that. And I was really, really excited when my younger brother decided to come here. And I told him, you might not like it as much as me, but it was a perfect school for me. I didn't want to I didn't want to feel guilty if he didn't like it. And, I'm really, really thankful that he graduated 2 years ago, and he loved it just as much as I did. But I told him when he was thinking about coming that Wingate was a home away from home, and he found that to be true, just like I did.
All-American on the court, academic All-American off the court, class, we've talked about with other, how? How did you do it? You're involved in things, academics, a conference champion volleyball player. How'd you do it?
I spent a lot of time in the quiet room in the library, which apparently has been updated since I've been here. But you just make it work, and you're used to that schedule from being an athlete your whole life and playing multiple sports at a time. Or not at a time, but, throughout the year, you just get used to your schedule. So, you study hard when you can, and when you get that chance to party a little bit, you go all out. But it's just not as much as maybe if I wasn't playing volleyball.
Melissa, finally, Wingate at volleyball won 11 straight conference championships. That streak started your sophomore year, and you've seen what the program is. Incredible. I mean, absolutely incredible. What does it feel like to you to know you started all of that?
It's pretty neat. You know, it's actually embarrassing because I watch them now, and I'm like, ooh, I definitely wouldn't be able to play. They were really good. But my freshman year, we were bad, and my coach told me, he's like, my nickname was Luke, and he's like, Luke, I just need you to stick with me. Like, we're going to be really good. And I just had all the trust in him. I really believed in him as a coach. And, you know, I was like, okay, I trust you, but man, we're bad. And we really did. Like, we got so much better. And now when I watch Wingate and just hear about how well they're doing it, it makes me really proud for them. And, yeah.
Melissa DeLuca, shoot the epitome of a student athlete in the classroom, on the field, a well-deserved Hall of Fame member. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you, guys.
As Ryan exits stage right, let's give him a hand. Do you realize the work he does to broadcast and stream all the games that are played here? How in the world do you do that? And I don't know. I don't want to begin to know. But you all can see any game that Wingate plays, whether it's home or away, and it's because of him and his team. So I appreciate you. All right, so we're past the halfway mark of this evening. Are you having a good time? Are you enjoying yourself? You feeling good? All right. Let's bring up our next Alumni Award honoree. This is for the Outstanding Young Alumna Award, and it goes to Melanie Jean Romanaux, class of 2007. Come on up, Melanie. The Outstanding Young Alumnus Alumna Award recognizes the alum who demonstrates the highest level of professional achievement in his or her particular field and upholds to the highest degree the university's values of faith, knowledge, and service. So, ladies and gentlemen, meet Melanie Romanaux. Yeah, we can give her a hand.
Thanks, y'all.
Your bio says that you're founder and CEO of So Media Solutions, which, if you're not familiar, was the first social media agency in the Southeast. Congratulations.
Thank you, sir.
So how did that come about?
Oh, completely by accident. Oh, if we allow ourselves to accept what comes along and be challenged and excited, then you never know, right? So I graduated my undergrad in English and psychology, and then I went to Oglethorpe for a master's in education and thought that I was going to change the world through child psychology. And I was working at Apple, and I was running a learning center, and I found a need through social media, and really just built a business out of helping business owners understand how to work this new form of communication.
It's So Media, and I'm guessing that's like social media.
You got it.
You know, yeah.
Social media.
Social media solutions. And you did this, you're CEO of the company, and you did this without any formal agency, marketing experience, business background, any of that.
None at all.
Okay.
I figured it out as I went along and had all the tools and the support that I needed to get there.
Why don't you name drop? So what kind of companies that you've helped or are helping?
Oh, sure. Okay, so who would you all know? If you're in Atlanta, the Varsity, there's a company called, the Varsity. Yeah, there's a company called Hi-Fi Buys. Ooh, there's a good one. You know Green Day, the band? Green Day, their coffee company called Oakland Coffee. Check it out. Yeah.
Varsity is help me out on this, the largest drive-through in America. Is that right?
My daddy can tell you. It's his favorite restaurant.
Is that correct?
I think so.
The best cheeseburger you'll ever have.
Probably.
Absolutely. So you got your undergraduate degree here and then decided to get a master's. And what prompted going to grad school?
I wanted to get my doctorate in childhood psychology and really be an adolescent psychologist. And you have to do 6 years and commit to the doctoral program. And I discovered that there would be a stepping stone to getting a master's in education. So I decided to kind of take the roundabout way of getting there. And by the time I was done, I was jazzed about what I was doing and kind of just found my way. And sometimes it's not always how you set out to be or where you set out to go, and take the opportunities as they come to you.
I heard you say Apple, as in I've heard of that company.
There is an Apple out there.
So how did that, so was it out west or was it in Atlanta? You worked for Apple for a time.
I did. So I started working when I was 15. I wanted a car, and my dad told me to get a job. So I started a restaurant, and I was a hostess, and I worked here while I was at Wingate. I worked at Village Tavern up in Charlotte. Every day after class, I would drive up there, and I would work, and I eventually lived in Atlanta. I worked at a restaurant called Stony River, and I was good friends with the busboy. You never know who's going to get you where you need to go. And so I made friends with the busboy who worked at the Apple store. And I went to buy a new computer one day, and I'd never had an experience like I'd had with him. And
I'm guessing
that
it was
day,
a good experience.
It was a retail experience like none other. And I was immediately attracted to the whole process, why it was so different and why it was so remarkable and memorable and something I couldn't wait to tell everybody about. And so that day I left trying to figure out how to pay for a computer. And so I decided to get a job at the Apple store, and I went and interviewed. It's harder to get a job than it is to get into Harvard. And so I started out as a concierge. I had never worked on a Mac in my life.
Mm-hmm.
And so I started telling people where to go, and eventually I became a genius. And that has parlayed quite well into customer service and owning a business and all the little Apple steps of service. I still use them today.
It's one of those companies that it's like the gold standard. Disney and Apple.
And the
it's
Ritz.
amazing.
It's all there. Absolutely.
I read that you and your husband Randy are involved in a major fundraiser in the Atlanta area next month. Tell us about that.
Oh, thank you so much for asking. Yes, my husband Randy Romanaux, he and I have worked very hard for a long time to raise a lot of money for blood cancer research and childhood cancer research. It's very close to my heart. My cheerleading coach died when I was 14 of AML, and my best friend right now is fighting ALL. And so we are headed back to Atlanta soon. He's hosting his 7th annual All In for a Cure poker tournament. We host it every year. We raise a ton of money, and Apple matches dollar for dollar everything we raise.
This is in Roswell, Georgia.
It is, yep. And we this year it will benefit Rally Foundation Childhood Cancer Research.
You said about the blood cancers and childhood cancer research. So tell us more about that. This was your...
Yes, very near and dear to my heart. I can't help but find something fun to do to raise money and save lives. We may as well have fun while we're doing it. And so we've done this for a long time. A couple of years ago, I ran for Woman of the Year in Atlanta. Raised $63,000 in 10 weeks and came out second.
Oh.
Yeah, so as Atlanta, we raised a lot of money that year for blood cancer research. That's exactly right. And so together, over the last 10 years, we've raised over $500,000.
That's amazing. That's wonderful.
Yeah.
We gave her a hand for that.
You can't do it alone, that's for sure.
I also read, this is the last question for you, that you have a desire to travel the world.
Oh, yeah. Of course. Well, and I only got a little taste while I was here at Wingate. I got to go to Hong Kong. I got to spend a semester in London. My girl Maddie's back there. Yeah, she's back there. I got to live with her for a whole semester and build the most incredible relationships. And there's such a huge world to see. And I can't wait to see more of it and meet the incredible human beings that make up this world and build a bigger life for us.
Anybody you want to thank?
Oh my gosh, my mom and my daddy. I'm so glad y'all are here. And you know what? I grew up with, my dad owned his business. My mom started her business when I was born. I grew up with that model. There's nothing that you can't do if you just compile your resources, get excited about something, and figure it out. The people who you surround yourself with will empower you and will help you get there. And if you help everybody else around you get there, it comes back. And that's really what I've learned from undergrad and beyond, and it's really reinforced itself, that lesson in my life, every year, no matter where I go.
Melanie, you're delightful. Congratulations. Thank you for what you're doing to change the world. Yeah, congratulations. Has our final Sports Hall of Fame inductee. I'm excited to hear who this one is.
That's right, Jeff. Our final inductee obviously needs no introduction. He has given 46 years of service to this university. Serving as vice president for 20 years and the athletic director since 2001 right here at Wingate. Welcome to the Athletic Hall of Fame, Mr. Steve Poston. That mic and have a seat. As you all know, Mr. Poston has led a dominant run in the South Atlantic Conference. Just for reference, Wingate has won 12 straight Athletic Excellence Awards, given it the best overall athletic program. So a round of applause for that. That's 12. The rest of the South Atlantic Conference combined is 7. So, Mr. Poston, take me back to the year before Wingate, 1972, come to campus. How did you get to this campus?
In a 1972 blue Corvette. I came to coach head. I was named head baseball coach, which is kind of interesting because it's I would never hire me based on the experience I had. Never coached a day of baseball in my life when I got here, and I'm very grateful for some of my former players out there that came tonight. How patient they were with me while I was trying to learn how to coach baseball, but it was really a great opportunity. The only problem I had, and we mentioned Beverly Christopher a couple times tonight, where her husband Ron Christopher was a baseball coach here before me and was a legend, and I was thinking about, here I am coming in to follow a legendary coach and very successful coach, and so I wanted to go down and look at the baseball field, and I did, and I couldn't find home plate. The grass was knee high, and the infield was grown over, and I've spent my entire fall practice just trying to find home plate. So that's how I got to Wingate.
Well, you made it 7 years as coach, so obviously you're doing some things right. When did it finally come to you as the baseball coach?
I think early. I had some really outstanding young men that were in the program that were committed to it. They worked really hard. They really took me under their wing and helped me a little bit. But I think I had some good coaches, and I learned from those good coaches, and I had great mentors. And while like I said, I never coached baseball, but I had played in college, and I had some great mentors. And so I think early on, I began to understand what coaching was all about in terms of the baseball program. I had coached in high school before coming here, so I had that background, but just not on the baseball field.
You were moved over to athletic director in 2001 after holding other positions at Wingate. What was that? How did that happen? How do you become athletic director?
That's also a good story. Jerry McGee's out in the audience, and he was the one that offered me the opportunity. I was chair of the search committee for the previous athletic director, who didn't work out. And Dr. McGee said, "You did such a good job with that, you're going to do it." So, so I think that's what he kind of gave me that opportunity, and I would say in 46 years, Wingate has been relentless in finding a job I can do. And I do appreciate that. That was very good.
Wingate has seen just an unbelievable success every year, year in and year out. How do you explain it?
Outstanding players like the four we've already introduced. Obviously, it starts with that. I mean, I found out early on in coaching you were a lot better coach those years you had good players. And I think that when these four tonight have been recognized. And by the way, Melissa, we are still undefeated. I was following the game over there on the phone. So Wingate Volleyball won tonight. So but I think it's just staying with it. Just staying hard.
You're now an administrator in charge of coaches after being coach. You're in charge of administrative staff, and you're in charge of student athletes that are here for the experience to get a degree and have a great academic and athletic experience. How do you balance all that as an athletic director?
Well, I think you start with good people. Surround yourself with good people. We have an outstanding group of coaches on our staff here that are committed to the total student athlete experience. That's one thing we talk a lot about. We love winning, and we're going to work hard to try to win. but we also want the student athlete to have the kind of experience that they can look back on, just like the ones that have come up tonight and shared all the different things that Wingate has meant to them over the time. We want to make sure our student athletes have that experience, that total experience at the university. And we have a coaching staff here, and many of them are here tonight, that are committed to that, and success starts there. And then getting the players to obviously help. But I think all that balance, just making sure that we understand that when the games are over, there's a lot of things that are left us to do and do it right and to be able to do it well.
We've talked a lot about the Excellence Cups, and rightfully so, 12 years in a row. Wingate had never won before then. When you hear it every time, 12 in a row, 12 in a row, where does your mind go? What do you think about?
We had years ago, well, more than 12 years ago now, but we had a retreat for all the senior staff members, and we were asked to put down our goals. And I put down, and one of my goals was, before I retire as an athletic director, I want to win the Athletic Excellence Award one time. And we've won it one time 12 years in a row. So, I think it means a lot. And the reason it means a lot to me is it talks about the total experience for the athletic program. It's not just a sport. It's all the sports, all 22 of them, all 22 of our teams that contribute to the success we have. And to me, that's Wingate. One of the things we talk a lot about is excellence here. And my philosophy has always been in the athletic department is we're going to do everything we can in every sport to be excellent, and that's a commitment that we make. And I think that's and the result of that commitment to excellence is the success we have with the Excellence Award.
Mr. Poston, finally, you've been up on that side many times. You've been to this ceremony many times. To be in that chair as the newest member of the Hall of Fame, what does it mean?
It's very humbling. I was thinking about this coming in tonight, and I'm up here. I've done some good things, I think, but also I'm up here because of the successes that a lot of other people have had, and the fact that I'm inducted into this Hall of Fame is a tremendous honor, because I know it doesn't happen. It doesn't happen with just anything that I've done. It's completely a total effort on all the part of the athletic party.
46 years to the university, 17 and counting as athletic director. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations, Poston. Thank you.
Has anybody in the room been at their employer longer than 46 years? Okay, that doesn't count. If you own the company, it doesn't count. Steve, congratulations. 2 more Alumni Award winners for tonight. The Distinguished Alumnus Award goes to Patrick C. Brown, class of 1995. Patrick, unfortunately, was not able to be here with us this evening, but we'll be honoring him at a future blue carpet gala. And our final Alumni Award honoree tonight is Mr. Windell L. Talley. Windell, will please join us on stage. As he's making his way to the platform, let me tell you about the Honorary Alumnus Award recognizes friends of Wingate University who've exhibited outstanding and uncommon achievement in their professions and whose civic, community, and public service are both exemplary and exceptional. And that is this man right here. Have a seat. So good to have you here. Congratulations. It's good to see you. How have you been?
I've been pretty good, I think, till all of a sudden right now I don't know what I'm supposed to do.
Just sit back and enjoy the ride.
It was a surprise when I got to notice. I was a student at Wingate in 58, 59, and 60, and that's been a long time ago. A lot of fields been plowed since then.
I was going to ask you, what do you remember about, it was a junior college back then.
It was a junior college, and I commuted from home, which is about 18 miles from here. First year I drove a blue 55 Chevrolet 6-cylinder, And then the next year I had the thing painted white so they wouldn't recognize me. So I'd get here just about 5 minutes before classes, and I'd go to class, and then by 1 o'clock I'd be back at home on the farm. Daddy had a small farm. He worked in a cotton mill. But I had made up my mind years before that I was going to farm someday, I thought. And so that's where my life started, really.
Do you remember who your teachers were back then?
Oh, goodness. Well, Mr. C.C. Burris would sit out on the couch in the lobby and greet us. I mean, I talked to him some. And Miss Dosher was a teacher, and the chemistry teacher. I didn't do real good in class. I mean, I didn't have time to do much classwork. And I can tell you straight up, I took speech here at Wingate, and I made a D on it. And it wouldn't transfer to state then when I moved to state. But when I got down there, I needed one more English elective, so I chose speech. I thought I'd try it one more time. But then when I got over on Hillsborough Street, the English department, it turned out that most of them were flunkies from Carolina, and you know, and you really couldn't get along with those people.
What grade did you make in that class?
Made another D.
You mentioned about your dad. Dad had a small farm, and you've been a farmer for 60 years. My goodness gracious, how have you managed that?
Well, when I was 5 years old, my dad moved off my grandfather and grandmother's farm. They started with, in about 1911, they bought 40 acres. And her daddy loaned them $17 as sharecroppers so they could pay off their debt for the year, and then they could move on this 40 acres. And then eventually they bought 60 more. And my grandmother was a hard worker, and my daddy was too. But my daddy worked in the cotton mill. My mother never would allow him to farm much. We'd rent 10 acres of ground and have 3 acres of cotton, 6 acres of corn. We'd always have 2 pigs and a milk cow and 1 mule. And I started plowing a mule when I was 8 years old. And but that's the way I come up. But I was determined I was going to farm someday, and then I finished state, I guess, in January 63. Took an extra semester to get out from down there. And but I had a job with a super good guy in Monroe when I got out, and I went to work for him. I finished my last exam at 3 o'clock on Friday evening, and at 7 o'clock Monday morning I was at the job. And we lived out on 601 to start with. Judy and myself, we'd married then. And so I worked for him. I was always up at 3 or 4 in the morning and getting the job done. And I always knew how to work, but I just didn't never know how to supervise, I don't think.
So you had 10 and then 40 acres, and now I read that you and your wife have one of the largest farming operations in North Carolina?
Well, the boys grew up working on the farm. It's 3 boys and Judy, and I was determined I was going to own turkeys rather than, we started off as contract growers for Armory Company. It used to be in Marshall. And I was determined we would own turkeys someday. And eventually the banks got agreeable, and so I got to owning my own turkeys. And but Judy and the 3 boys, we'd load turkeys ourselves. My brother worked with me then. And we'd send 2 or 3 loads out at a time. And but gradually we built the operation. And the first maybe 10, 12 years, I kept my debt real low, so if I'd ever have to go to work to pay off my debt, I could. So, but somewhere along the way, about 10 or 12 years, I decided I was going to make it. So I got to borrowing a lot of money. To me, it was a lot of money. And so I kept on buying land. My deal always was you got to own land if you're going to farm. And So we bought what land was available, as it was available in Stanley County. And my three boys went, one of them came to Wingate for 1 year, and then all three of them. And in '83, when they won the championship, was national championship, well, he went on state with the other two, so there was three down there. And then they all came back from state after graduation. And Judy didn't want them to come back to the farm, so it's been too tough on us. And I told her I'd build a farm big enough so that they could make it.
That's good.
So we started buying land like Anson County and well, the mountains to start with, Virginia. And we got land in, I guess, 4 counties up there now. And then we went down the other side of 95. There's an auction down there. We bought a tract of land down there just the other side of 95. And then we began to buy more land. There's a lot of land available then down there on Roland. And we built a grain facility down there. We've got 1 million bushel storage down there now, and we've got 1 million over at Stanfield.
And I know you couldn't have done it without the love of your life. Somebody told me
Judy, her.
Somebody told me it's a 56th anniversary today.
Yeah.
And
yes.
It's today.
Yes, today. It's
You lucked out on this date, didn't you?
5 o'clock. This is her gift for 56 years.
Well, Windell,
but I'm beginning to wind down now. I mean, I actually turned down a tract of land the other day that I didn't buy. Yet, I hadn't told you that yet.
Well, Windell, you are one of the most generous men I know, and Wingate University has benefited greatly from your generosity. And so from all of us, we want to thank you for what you've done and what you mean to us.
Thank you.
Thank you. Congratulations. Bryan?
Jeff?
This is it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you give the closing remarks.
You?
No,
Me?
no, it says you.
Me?
Yeah, it says you.
We hope you guys enjoyed tonight. And again, this is our first time doing the Hall of Fame with the interviews. I hope you guys had as much fun as we did. And congratulations to our 10 men and women on very different achievements, but all really very important to the history of Wingate University. I want to say thank you again, congratulations, and have a great night.